The BBC bosses are absolutely panicking with the public pressure increasing when it comes to the funding of the BBC, the whole structure and the bias that we see from the organisation. They are now looking to make more cuts and defund themselves and their own flagship programmes. But as we've seen over the past few years, every decision that they make at the top of the BBC is wrong. They're now going after Politics Live, one of the few daily news shows that they actually have left programs, and without this, if they cut that, they definitely don't really have any actual daily program that will analyze the news, which is ironic for a platform that is primarily supposed to be about news. So most major news channels in the world have at least one daily show, and this is going to go. Also, they're now going after Andrew Neil as well. Now, this came out in Guido Fawkes earlier, talking about how the BBC's budgetary situation is actually continuing with the public posturing designed to blackmail the government. Now, Politics Live is on the brink of being culled by the corporation in their latest spate of job cuts. Now, this came out because when it comes to job cuts, they announced last month that they are cutting about 450 jobs. Director of BBC England, Helen Thomas, emailed all the employees announcing that we have to do this, and the reason for this is because they're panicking. The public pressure, questioning the funding of the BBC and all the stuff that they're doing is difficult, and you have people in government and the Conservative MPs in Parliament now talking about how we have to reform the BBC. Even Boris Johnson hinted a few months ago that he would be willing to look into this. I'm guessing people like Dominic Cummings are in favour of restructuring the whole thing, and obviously if we move from a TV tax structure to either an ad-based or a subscription-based like Netflix, then that's absolutely fine. They can do whatever they want to do. But they are trying to keep what they have and their top jobs and their biased platform by cutting these jobs to say that, oh, look, we are saving some money, guys. But they're going after Politics Live and Andrew Neil, which is kind of idiotic. So after the show was taken off air during the whole lockdown situation, Politics Live, the Westminster Village TV staple has now returned to a once-a-week only platform. And but they're also, as I said, Andrew Neil, until now he had a weekly show where he interviewed top politicians and everybody, and that's obviously been paused, and apparently that's not coming back because Tony Hall has now said that he prioritises his £100 million diversity scheme. Now, for those who don't know what this idiotic diversity scheme is, this was announced a while ago that Tony Hall basically said the BBC will be going for this programme to spend £100 million over 3 years to increase diversity and inclusivity. And at the same time, every single time they replace the BBC bosses, they're usually white male. The same people that they want to attack. Everybody else should be brown. Everybody else should be probably disabled or vegan and avocado eating. But the bosses always look the same, talk the same, come from the same background. They need their power, don't they? So by going back to what Guido was saying, this is Andrew Neil. I was talking to Times Radio, and he said that I would like to be doing more shows. Of course I would. I don't know what's happening. There's no clarity at the moment, so I'm just waiting for the BBC to make up its mind. And to be fair, for someone like Andrew Neil, who's probably the only good person they have at this point, who's honest about his professionalism, his work has been always solid, and if they get rid of him, he's a big name, and he would do probably better outside of the BBC on his own as an independent presenter, and he could analyse the news even better than these idiots. So this is the BBC's struggle at this point. But as I said, this is all a weird gesture to show that, we are making some cuts, so taxpayers, don't worry, you're not wasting your money. Well, apart from that £100 million on diversity and inclusivity. And they decided to make cuts in the BBC Welsh using the same programme because, you don't need many Welsh people in the BBC. We want to be inclusive and diverse, but Welsh people don't count. They don't matter, apparently, according to the BBC. But these are the platforms, the mainstream media, all these guys. What they represent is no longer what ordinary people want out there. They are representing the big voices, celebrities, rich people, the powerful, who are so out of touch with reality. We have one of our favorite couples in the world, Harry and Meghan. Harry is the person who is currently a hostage in America, and they released a video, and the mainstream media obviously showed it because that's what they do. That's all they care about. He was mumbling about some stupid thing, which makes absolutely no sense because it wasn't actually clear what he was talking about. We know what he was talking about. He was talking about all this cultural Marxist stuff that's going on. Everybody should be friends with each other. Everybody should be politically correct. Don't make any jokes. Cancel comedy. But his words are like, there was no clarity. But also he looked like literally that Meghan was standing next to him and he had no power. He was literally a hostage. I'm pretty sure at one point he blinked 3 times. Let's watch the clip and come back.
Certainly when you look across the Commonwealth, there's no way that we can move forward unless we acknowledge the past. And I think so many people have done such an amazing, incredible job of acknowledging the past and trying to right those wrongs. But I think we all acknowledge on here that there is so much more still to do. It's not going to be easy, and in some cases it's not going to be comfortable, but it needs to be done because guess what? Everybody benefits. So I think there's a hell of a lot that we together need to acknowledge. But I only see hope and optimism in the fact that we could only do this together.
We have to, in this moment in time, say, we're going to have to be a little uncomfortable right now.
Okay, firstly, what she said just there. At this point, some of us, we need to be a bit uncomfortable. Yeah, Harry seemed very uncomfortable. And but what he was saying was just absolutely nonsense. He was just saying we should look at history and we should be nice and we should get together, be optimistic and work together. And he kept looking at Meghan to make sure he's using the correct words. Now let's go back to see what Meghan was actually ranting about.
Pushing through that discomfort that we get to the other side of this and find the place, as you're pointing out, where a high tide raises all ships.
The high tide raises all the ships. I don't know what they're talking about. And it's this is the whole point. As I said, the mainstream media platforms at this point, what they're representing is these voices, not your voice. They don't care about ordinary people. And what they do, you've seen it on Sky News and the BBC, when they interview an ordinary person on the street, they always portray them as, oh, look at that silly person saying something. Look at this Karen. Look at this, boomer. Whereas, you can't criticize Harry or Meghan because they are the voice of the planet at this point because, they're no longer just British. They are a citizen of nowhere, as Theresa May would say. But this is the whole point of us being against the BBC structure. There are a number of campaigns against the TV tax, and we are pushing the government to criminalize the situation with people who don't pay the tax, and we are encouraging people to cancel their TV license. And I'm doing it as usual on this channel. Get your merch. We still have a few days left on this channel. The t-shirts, the link is in the description. By definition, defunding the BBC means cancelling your TV license and watching my Tousi instead. You could get that in various colours. As I said, we have a few days left, I think until this weekend. So make sure to get your t-shirts as soon as possible. And for those of you who've been watching me, thank you for your support. If you want to continue supporting our work, make sure to become a member of the channel. You can find the link again in the description, youtube.com/mytc/join. As usual, I'm mytc. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.